All right. It says we are live. We are live. Good morning, Crystal. Happy Sunday to you. Thank you, Crystal. Crystal be on it for me. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, folks. I have missed y'all. I've been working on the house. I just been doing some stuff over here. So happy Sunday. Happy to be here. I'm gonna give it a minute for y'all to join. Crystal, I hope you are well. I see
Um,
I see six folks' eyes, but I don't see y'all in the chat yet. So I'm gonna give y'all a minute. I'm gonna have my guest introduce herself, but y'all should be impressed that I have a guest this morning because y'all know I've been not on my game of inviting guests over here. I just been winging it. So I'm happy to have a guest. I'm happy somebody said yes, I'll be on your channel. Good
aw.
morning, Key. Good afternoon, Key. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna do my intro and I'm gonna get started because we're gonna talk and talk and talk, and I know that. So let's just go ahead and get started. Hi, WLJ. Welcome. Happy Sunday to you. So I'm gonna do my intro. My name is Jewel Pearson. For those of you all who might have just stumbled over here and don't know who I am, as I introduce myself, I always say that I built a kind of fancy tiny house in 2015 because I don't believe you have to give up luxury to go tiny. And since that time, I have shared my journey to hopefully inspire others who are interested in the movement. I do offer coaching and consultations to help others in their tiny house journey. And once this ends and go is live and available, you will be able to find links to schedule with me in that video description below. And as I'm doing all of that, I like to serve up a lot of representation in the movement. I want us to see ourselves. I want us to be able to talk through our challenges. I want us to benefit from this movement as others are doing. So that's what I do. If you find this information helpful, the video helpful, please like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, and then turn on the notifications so that you'll know when we're going live over here and stuff is happening. So please do that. Happy Sunday, everybody. Um, L from the Bronx. Folks are saying happy Sunday to you. Tracie, glad to have y'all here. Happy Sunday. Okay, so I am going to ask Tracie to introduce herself. But before I ask her to introduce herself, I will say that Tracie is my San Miguel souvenir because
Aw.
I got to. I went to San Miguel to chill and relax, and then I said I was going to reach out to this person that I knew from social media and just say, "Hey, I'm here. Do you want to get together for lunch or something?" And I reached out, and she was like, "Yeah, let's get together." And then she organized a group, and then we kind of hung out from that point forward, and we have been hanging ever since. And I have gained a whole family. Yes, me, and we both love the color purple. So if you hear some color purple references, then you know what we're talking about. I have gained a whole family with her family, and I appreciate that. So Tracie, please introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, I hate talking about myself. So it's hard for me to introduce myself. So, hey, everyone, my name
You
is
can't do
Tracie.
that.
Is, like Jewel just said, I live here in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. We moved to Mexico almost 2 years ago. I cannot believe that it is almost 2 years. Hey, girl, hey, that's my sis here. Yeah, and I do so much, but we can get into that. Yeah.
We are gonna get into that. We
Yeah.
are gonna get into that. Well, I don't think you introduced yourself. Can you talk about the work you've done, the work you do, the medical? So today, okay, let me do my intro into the conversation. Then I'm going to come back and ask you to introduce yourself so that you can align yourself with talking about what you do and quit acting like you don't know what you do.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So today's conversation is about healing in our deepest sense, not just our bodies, but our lives, all of the, all of the things. It's about also the U.S. medical system, how it impacts Black women, how our health journeys can force us to rethink everything, and also how letting go, and we always talk about letting go of places, of possessions, of systems, I always say people, places, and things can be a true path to liberation. And so that is kind of the tie in the let me be official. Our title for today's discussion is Healing, Liberation, and Letting Go: Black Women's Health, the U.S. Medical System, and the Power of Intentional Living. So that is what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to go back over here and ask my friend Tracie Collins to reintroduce herself so she can align with what we're talking about versus acting like she just over here to chit chat. We taking her into professional mode because she's got
Right, which is going to be hard because not hard, but we tend to be a little bit more playful. Thank you, babe. So my name is Tracie Collins, and I left the United States, like I said, almost 2 years ago with my family. However, I have been in women's health for over 20 years, and I created the largest Black and BIPOC doula training company in the world, and we had major partnerships such as Walmart, and there were some deals that I was brokering with Pampers and Dove and all of the things. And even still then, they didn't want to give Black women money. They just wanted the name, alignment, and association. But I would negotiate on our behalf for better healthcare systems and services for Black and brown people with major insurance companies such as Aetna and such as Medi-Cal in the different regions. So that is me. And in 2023, a part of my exit strategy was selling my company. And so I sold my company in 2023, and it still continues to thrive and do the things that it was designed to do. So that is a part of my legacy. But now I just focus on building Black women, primarily like Black women, our businesses, because I'm an advocate for women, but a Black girl mostly because I am one. So I'm going to advocate always for us. But also what Joel is referencing too is being in the line of work that I was in and sitting in the position that I was in, it began to take a toll on my mental health. So it was imperative that I leave the country when I did.
Thank you.
Was that better?
That was so much better.
I was trying because in the end,
it was there, there was the perfect segue to what we get ready to talk about. I knew you could do it. I thank you because she's right. We always are somewhere playing. So now I had to get her into serious mode to talk about who she is on that other side. So I have been very open and transparent with my collective family, with everybody who listens, about my journey post having experienced a stroke in December 2023. And even before that, I've also shared that I had blood clots in my lungs in 2007, both my lungs. And but this time was kind of different in having to really navigate the medical system, having to do a lot of advocating for self and a lot of eye-opening challenges and understanding so much of the harm that is in the medical system. I mean, I've shared that openly. You having worked inside the healthcare system, I guess my first question for you is not necessarily when you realized it wasn't just broken, but when did you realize it was actively harmful for Black women?
Because everything that kept coming across my desk was about us dying. And so my company was specifically designed to save our lives. And as I'm sitting in these rooms, either in sometimes the OR, sometimes L&D, which is labor and delivery, but also understanding the difference between hospital bureaucracy and hospital culture. And there's a huge difference because they have to be in alignment with the AMA, which is the American Medical Association. But then there's also hospital culture, and that's the unspoken fabric of what the Western medicine is built on. And Western medicine was never designed for us to live, not Black women specifically. It was really designed for us to be experimented on. So you're asking a system to advocate for you when it was never meant for that.
Right.
So I am a firm believer that Western medicine just needs to be completely abolished and rebuilt. I don't think putting a Band-Aid on cancer is the answer. And that is what, from a legislative standpoint, from, you know, from a legislative standpoint, they try to put a Band-Aid on cancer. So you have these movements like Momnibus and things like that that are advocating for Black women to be heard and treated fairly, but it's never gonna be effective because it's built on bullshit and it's built on racism.
Right. Right. Like you said, it's a Band-Aid, or a placebo, something to give us to make it seem like they're trying to do some work when behind the
Right.
scenes, it really isn't.
Right. And you see it happening now. Like you see everything that the Harris Biden administration did when they were in office for the last 4 years. You see it all being rolled back. So again, I'm right. It just is.
That's the main point.
I mean, you know.
So you touched on this briefly in your introduction and in part of your conversation. What emotional toll did it take on you personally, staying in the broken system before you chose to leave?
It put me in a state of near depression. Like, it was very dark. I became resentful and I began to hate what I created. Even though it was never designed specifically for me, I knew it was out there for us, but it took just an emotional wear on me, mentally, because I was always having to give and show up regardless of how I was feeling because it benefited other people. And so, yeah.
So you showing up in one way externally, but internally it wasn't representing what you felt.
No, because I wanted to shift the narrative. Yeah, I wanted to show us thriving and winning. I didn't want to show us just surviving. Everything that I do is my job on this earth is to tell our stories as Black women. If I do it from an artistic standpoint, it is always the fabric of who we are and what we do. So if I'm doing it from a work aspect, it's still steeped in that. And so my job as one of the voices of Black women, being a Black woman, I don't want to deal in the disparity of Black women. I think society and media does that enough. I want to highlight us winning and thriving and also show the possibility of, and that is how I started to shift what I did in the midst of my transition.
You just keep leading me to my additional questions. I should pay you for this. So as you started that shifting, and we talk about this a lot. I talk about this from the aspect of tiny houses and opportunities for liberation with tiny houses. When you think about liberating yourself from systems that are harming you, especially when these systems, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, are so normalized, what does that mean from your perspective?
Okay, re-ask that question.
So if we talk about liberating ourselves from these systems,
yeah,
that are harming us,
yeah,
especially when these systems are so normalized, what, in your perspective, what does that look like? What does that mean to liberate ourselves from those systems?
It means, number one, to recognize the problem. Number two, to take your power. Like, you can't tell me Black women we're not the best. Like, we are the prototype. We are the Eve gene carriers. So because of that, we come into this space already powerful. But colonization has done such a fantastic job of conditioning the rest of the world to not listen to Black women. So when we start walking into our power and educating ourselves along the way, it gets easier to deconstruct the narrative that we've been sold. But then you have to go up against challenges such as society, such as religion, such as, you know, your familial relationships. You have to go and you have to be prepared. So we are already have thick skin just naturally, but sometimes we don't want to be in that space. So then it may require you carving out a different level of community who you're in alignment with to be able to have these high level conversations with people who get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we transition to the point where it was too much and you decided you needed to leave, like it transitioned into leaving. And so leaving, you built this company, you are now realizing it's causing you harm in the way society is making it have to operate. Leaving a career, a country, that's never going to be easy. What was that internal process like for you? And I'm asking that because as we talk about the liberation here, and I've been speaking about for the last few weeks, like reinventing yourself, and sometimes there's so much pushback from other folks, and I think you were just talking about that a minute ago. What did you have to do internally to get prepared for that?
Well, I gave Honey almost like I gave her an ultimatum. I was like, we don't go, you're not gonna have a wife. It was like real simple. And
that's one way to do it, people.
And in that, so that was part of it. But I would, lay in my closet. And let me say this, like I checked all the boxes. Like I checked all the boxes that society says that you should have. And so I would lay on my closet floor sometimes and just cry because I was so exhausted. I was so exhausted. And when I knew that if I didn't leave, like you not gonna have a wife, you coming or not? And then she was like, okay, we had to have a good conversation with our grown children because they were living in our house too. And then my mom was visiting from California, and she was like, "Oh, y'all upsetting my daughter. Like that's your mama, but that's my child." And so I remember that conversation. And so we were already ready to go. I was already ready to go, but deconstructing my life and rebuilding my life was a process. I know people focus a lot on like exiting the United States, but they don't talk about the pre and the post a lot, or they don't give it as much credence as it should be given, because deconstructing your life, you never realize how embedded the United States has you entangled in their system until you start to dismantle it. And so we got rid of 90% of our things. We sold our things, and that was stressful within itself. And then when we finally land here in Mexico, our landing was not soft. I know a lot of people like to talk about, oh, it's a soft landing. It's not. It wasn't. It was not. For the first 60 days, for the first 2 months, it was hell. It was hell until we finally came, because we started out in Mexico City and then we came here to San Miguel de Allende, which is 3 hours away from Mexico City. And then finally we were able to just kind of settle. And in that settle, it takes a year to 2 years for your life to get adjusted. And because I let go of, not only did we sell our things, but we sold our home. And not only did we sell our things and sold our home, I sold a company. And so much of who the States tells you who you are is based on what you do. And so I had to tell myself, and it took me about a good 6 months to get here. It was like, okay, Tracie, you're still that girl. Just because you don't have those things
Right.
associated with your name anymore, you're still that girl. You're still that brilliant creator who can impact other people. And so I had to have a come to Jesus moment, but it took a lot of deep introspective work. And the United States has us conditioned to move and to go and to produce so much and to move so fast and to keep going that you don't even know who you are when
Yeah.
you're not doing those things. So
Right.
it gave me the opportunity to say, girl, who are you? Like, who are you? And one of the questions that I absolutely hate, especially in the United States, is like, oh, what's your name? What do you do?
What do you do? That's always the
I hate that question. It's like, why?
yeah.
Because then you're trying to assign a value, a dollar amount
Right.
value of what to give me, according to you. Or you're trying to put me in a box and put me in a box. I will mess you up in a minute. You tell me that you think I'm going right, I will absolutely go left out of spite. Just because. Don't ever put me in a box. And that's what I felt like that question was doing. But it allowed me to just breathe. And then fortunately, I was blessed to come into San Miguel at a point where, like, it was like synchronicity with, Alum and Bobby and Dee, and then like Michelle, I met her shortly thereafter we arrived. So it's like universe was like, here you go. And we were literally forced here, like we were pushed to come to San Miguel because it wasn't on our radar to live here in the midst of our scouting trips.
Tell us,
And
when you say you were forced, tell us a little bit more about what that.
so we thought we were going to live in Mexico. Let me back up. Honey never wanted to leave the United States.
Okay.
Honey is type A to the bone. And here I am. I'm just like this whimsical, let's do this, because I'm just naturally creative and I want to, do things. And she's more like, no, this is my routine. And I cannot see myself outside of this box. So when moving to the States, and moving to Mexico, but we did I think 8 months. Well, yeah, it was about 8, 9 months of scouting trips. So we took about 3 or 4 trips back and forth to Mexico from 2022 to 2023, but we were in different locations every time. And SMA was never on the radar for a scouting trip. Just wanted to visit because it looked cute, but never to live.
Okay.
So Honey really liked Mexico City. And I was like, okay, if this is what it takes to get you out of the States, then we'll go. But I never wanted to live there. I do love Mexico City, but not to live.
Okay.
So when we moved there, vacationing is different from scouting. Scouting is different from living.
Absolutely.
And when we got there, I would say in the period from the moment we left to the moment we moved to SMA, we lost about $10,000. And this is why it really irritates me when people don't want to book consultations with people because they think it's saving them money. Like, even if it's in what you do, you have the experience to substantiate. That means you have hit all of the pitfalls,
Mhm.
and you know the systems that people can get into or mistakes that they can circumvent, as
Right.
long as they value what you have to offer and
Right.
spend the money to get that. So
The expertise you offer.
yeah, the expertise. And I did all of the things. Like, I did all of the research. I did all of the, if I wanted to meet with somebody, I booked the consults, but still lost money. Like, we still lost money. And we could not find a place to live. We were told 3 different times. We were staying in Airbnbs, but they would not rent to us because we were 2 Black women who were married. And
Okay.
so at the end of the day, it was like, as liberating as it may seem, it's still a heavy, a country that's based heavily in Catholicism.
Right. Right.
And so here we come, and they like,
Okay.
So I was like, I remember it so vividly because it was on a Thursday night. Honey was asleep, Mo was asleep, and our youngest daughter is Mahogany, and she was with us too. And she started to get depressed, and Honey started to just and I just saw our moods declining. And I sat up in the bed and I was like, we are getting the hell out of here. And so we were either going to go to Puerto Vallarta, which I hate. I don't like PV, but I have a friend over in PV who I was communicating with. I said, or San Miguel. I said, because it's only a few hours away. But PV, we would have had to get on a plane, and we had so much luggage because we moved. So we had a lot of suitcases with us. So because of that particular hurricane that was happening at the moment and the things and the challenges we were facing in Mexico City, it like universe, like it almost feel like it just like this is where you need to be in San Miguel. And it didn't require us getting on a plane. And then I called our driver, who's still our Mexico City driver still to this day. I said, can you drive us to San Miguel de Allende on Sunday, which was a few days away because this was Thursday night. He was like, yeah. So we came here. This was the one place where we didn't know anybody. I knew people, every other place in Mexico we had visited, but San Miguel was the one place I didn't know anybody. I knew of Michelle, but I had never, I never met her, never had a one-on-one conversation with her. And so we got here, and when I say within the first week, we loved it. And then a week and a half later, we found our house that we're still in, which was on HGTV, by the way.
It was. We'll give you a chance to talk about that. Don't you worry.
Oh, you got that on the list too?
And I said I prepared. don't question my thing.
Yeah. So that was it. And SMA, when I tell you, for us, it was like a breath. When we got our house, it was like we thought we were getting God. We thought we was being like they were scamming us because of because of the prejudices that we were facing in Mexico City. And we were told 3 different times that we had 3 different places in Mexico City, only for them to snatch the rug out from under us at the very end each time. And so for each time. And so when we got our house here, it was and it was literally everything we had asked for. We wanted a 3.5. We want, which is 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. We wanted a ranch style house. We wanted a backyard for our dog Brownie at the time. We walked into the house, and I wanted traditional Mexican style, and we wanted it to be walkable. It was everything. And we're still here, still to this day.
So the universe was making things align and happen. And that's kind of how you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
So just kind of in that transition from Mexico City, where you could feel your energy was shifting and you knew you needed to do something. If somebody kind of is in that same situation, it could be health related. Like what are a couple of things that you would advise for somebody who needs to work on reclaiming their power? Because that's basically what you had to do.
Child, one of the things about our bodies that I know, because I've worked with the human body for my entire adult life, is your body will whisper first and it'll yell at you later. And if you aren't, there is no in between. There isn't. It's like whispering. And if you aren't paying attention to the whispers, it will cost you. It can potentially cost you something that you can never get back. Right. So getting into because our bodies are the symptoms that we feel internally can lead to a disease or a dis-ease or a disconnect. And if we aren't paying attention to us from a systemic level, then we are going to die. It's science.
Right.
So if you are, and pay attention to how your body is responding to foods, to people, to stress. But the problem is with us is we have been conditioned to live in such a hypervigilant state that we don't even know what stress looks like. And that's one of the things that would piss me off with these contexts of conversation or literature that was around, well, this is what this looks like, but they're doing it based off white people or white women. And Black women, we show up completely different. If we're stressed out, it'll look like weight gain or weight loss, or we're losing our hair. We ain't sitting up necessarily crying because we don't have the luxury to sit up and cry. We don't have the peace or the space to be like, okay, I'm just gonna release these tears, and oh, you guys are gonna surround me and comfort me. And
Right.
no, because most
Right.
of the time our partners don't give a shit, or they're not around. Our kids need everything from us. Society don't give a damn. The corporate America, they want everything from you and don't want to pay you. So you don't have the space or the luxury to be heard or to be even tapped into your feelings that way. So it's like you have to begin to pay attention to your body from a systemic standpoint. So if you are you, I'm gonna use you as an example. You were experiencing dizzy symptoms. You were dizzy before the stroke. You were having dizzy spells. That is your body saying, girl.
Mm-hmm. Mine it was a flutter in my chest. I
So those
felt
are and palpitations. So I have a heart condition, and I understand what happened. So, girl, again, what we doing?
right.
What are we doing? And so we have to start listening to that. And you need to condition yourself so much to where anything uncomfortable in your system, you become hypersensitive to. Honey always likes, she was like, let you break a nail or something. You just like, oh, that's because I've literally conditioned my body to be like, everything I do and I need to feel needs to be pleasurable to me. If it don't feel good, what the hell are we doing? If I'm eating something and it's not a party in my mouth, why am I wasting these good calories on something that's nasty? Why am I in community and have a conversation with people who I don't like or who don't like me? So who stress me out? I already ain't got no hair. You know what I'm saying? So you have to start paying attention to things that don't make you feel good. And
Right.
when you start doing that, it's going to require you to do some major shifting. And a lot of times we don't want to step out on faith and bet on ourselves. And one thing I know about me is I will never let me down. So it's easier for
Oh,
me to bet on me than bet on you. So
right.
because I bet on me better than I bet on anybody else, I need to get rid of it or I need to adjust it. And that's the first step. Then it's like get a complete analysis of your system.
Mm-hmm.
Get a complete and with Western medicine, one of the things that they do is you'll go for a CBC, which is a complete blood count, and it won't be the full panel. So get into the full panel of what your body need, of what you need. Chat GTP that shit. Thank God for Chat GTP. Like a full workup of
Yeah.
what you need for your system, and then say, I want y'all to run these tests.
Right.
And it may cost you a little bit more, but it's eventually going to save your life. And then you need to start making adjustments. And then also, like, one of the affirmations I started saying to myself this past week was the universe rewards me every time I treat myself well.
Mm.
The universe rewards me every time I treat myself well. So that means every time I speak to myself nicely or kindly, every time I move my body, every time I meditate, every time I treat myself well, the universe rewards me. And then what will happen is things will show up because you're shifting and everything around you is naturally going to shift. But that also includes people, and you have to be powerful enough to allow that shift to happen, because the next level of you, everybody can go.
So I'm always over here talking about people, places, and things and being ready when it shifts because everybody can't go. And most time folks aren't ready that as you start changing, folks around you are gonna start changing and you'll be confused. But that's the way it's supposed to happen. Tracie and I talk a lot about how healing and changing is not necessarily just about systems. It's what you, as you were just saying, sometimes it's changing what we carry in our body, what we carry in our homes, what we carry in our spirit, what we carry in our hearts. And
Oh, can I address home real quick?
we that just give me a minute because
Okay,
we
okay,
getting ready to
okay,
get there. Just give
baby.
me a minute. Give me a minute.
Hmm.
It's in our spirit, and it's the letting go of all of those things or the adding of things that we might be deficient in, but doing the work. And it's hard work, and that is the part where folks get stuck because it's hard work. It's uncomfortable work, but it's necessary work. and that's the part. Okay, so I'm gonna get to home in just a second, but this question might open it for you, because my question is, so you've been talking about like downsizing your life, not just talking about your home, but talking about our mindset. But what role did decluttering and deciding on more of this intentional living play in the healing in this process?
Hmm. I love intentionality. I try to be intentional in everything that I do. I'm not one of many words. That's why, like, I was just sitting up here thinking, like, when have I ever talked this much? You would never think, but I'm
Okay,
actually
wait,
asked
wait,
Bobby Allen, and I
wait.
am one of the most quiet. I'm the most quiet one.
So wait a minute. So then we have to go back. So I need to say, when I was reaching out to Tracie, I was a little, I think I'm gonna reach out to her, but I ain't exactly sure. But then I realized when my hesitation of reaching out to Tracie was kind of like what I hear when people say they hesitate in reaching out to me, because you don't necessarily get a read from the. I'm kind of quiet. I'm gonna be laid back, observing in the cut, but I talk a lot around people that I like, but or people that I know, not necessarily that I like, people that I know. Otherwise I'm kind of quiet. And so then when I hung out with Tracie and we started chatting and talking it up, I was like, oh, she's like me. That was my hesitation. I was meeting myself, that front part, and behind, once you get back behind that screen, then we good. And so go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't even remember the question. Okay, intentionality.
It was
Okay,
decluttering and intentionality. Like, what
okay,
role has that played?
okay. So I'm one of few words because I understand the power of words. So I don't want to waste my words, and I'm not going to talk to people who don't want to listen. Um, because why would I waste my words on you? Like, why? Why am I going to give you energy? Um, so I choose to be intentional in everything. I'm one of them girls, like, Honey hates this about me too. I know I keep referencing her, but because I understand the power of words and I don't waste words, if I say something good, bad, or indifferent, I mean everything I say, right? And it may come out sometimes wrong, but I meant that shit, right? Like, I meant it because I've already
I
processed
mean
the
it, and
words.
I meant it.
I meant it, but
Needs to
I'm
be.
very,
I
I'm
mean
very
it, and I meant it.
child. Like, so I I try to be as intentional as I can in my movement, meaning just who I am as a person, because I don't know the day or the hour, and I want to make sure that I didn't waste my time on circumstances and people that did not deserve it. So, in getting rid of our things, one of the things I know is things are things and they can be replaced. And if your home isn't representative of how you feel, oh, we love you. That's my one of my SMSs.
She said she
Uh,
loves both of us, Tracie. She didn't just say me.
oh,
Thank you, Bobby. I love you too. You see, she was trying to take all of it, but go ahead.
that's the Libra in me. We just be like, when you ask us to show up. See, I keep moving because I have to separate the friend part of this conversation.
No, go ahead. You'll be okay.
Um,
You're doing good. You're doing good, girl.
but because I've started over so many times, being a single mom of three people back in the day, I have slept in an empty house with towels rolled up as a pillow and coats as blankets with my kids when I moved into a house to leave an abusive relationship. And that was when I made the decision that peace is a non-negotiable for me.
Mm,
It's just in my home is the non-negotiable for me. So
mhm.
decluttering, one of the things that I absolutely know is we don't need everything that we think we need. Um, and if we have something, you want to make sure that it's harmonious, and that is moving with you where you are right now and moving lighter,
Hmm.
you're able to breathe. And the unfortunate part of being a Black woman is that we're so accustomed to being a bag lady.
Wait. No, I need you to restate that. You said the unfortunate part about being a Black woman. I need you to say that better because there's nothing
So the
unfortunate about
unfortunate
being
part
a
of
Black woman.
society is
Thank
they expect us to be the bag lady.
you.
They
Okay, thank
expect us to carry all of the bags.
you. Okay.
And we do that. We pick everybody else's stuff up, including ours. So when you have things in your home, and if your home isn't bringing you peace, then you need to do some kind of realignment. Your home should always be in alignment with where you are seeking to, where you are currently, but also where you're going. And in moving intentional in my home, like you can't cross my threshold if you know my family. Like you can't come to my house. People are just waking up because the center's talking about a welcome mat. I don't do welcome mats. You are not welcome. Okay, there may be a mat there, but it will never say welcome. Unless you are working in my home or family. That's it, that's all. There is no in between. So I'm extremely, and I know you are too, we're extremely intentional about the things that we have in our home and how we utilize our space. So decluttering, we were able to, what do we have all this stuff for?
Right.
We can't take all of this stuff with it. And Honey just said last night, she was like, we should have got rid of more stuff because we still have a storage in the States and we got to go back and clean it out. And it's our intent to do that this year. But we still got to sell more stuff. Like we still have more stuff that obviously we've been here almost 2 years that we didn't need.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it's a waste of money sometimes.
Absolutely.
How that's like, why are we wasting our money? Like I would rather give me experiences over things
Right.
because
Absolutely.
there's always going to be a thing, a new thing out there. There's always going to be a new thing. That is the way society is designed as a consumer society to set up. But give me an experience.
Yeah, the downsizing and decluttering process is a constant. I have been sharing that it is, as I'm putting my house back together now, I'm doing that again. It's always a constant. My closets, I've recognized that over, even though I have a lot less than I've always had traditionally, I have more than I should. And I decided, and so when I started out living in my tiny house, I also had a storage. One part for it was just in case I decided I didn't want to live tiny. I knew I was going to want these things in my
Mhm.
home. And then around year 5-ish, and I decided, okay, this is a real thing. I'm going to do this long term. I went through the process of getting rid of, and maybe it was a little later than that, getting rid of the storage. It was later than that. Maybe it couldn't have been 10, whatever. Y'all know I can't do math on the fly right now with my new brain. But
Did
anyway,
you say new brain?
with my new brain. Um,
Oh,
when I started letting the stuff go. And I just have a small storage unit because, some stuff can't come in the house, like your outside tools and stuff, they can't come in my house. So you have to, I have a small storage, but there's still the process of going through my closets, going through my stuff and decluttering because that is who we are as humans, as we
mhm.
gather things. And when you speak about that lightness, that is for me. That was my why for going tiny. I want to live in no freedom. And that lightness translates, that intentional living, that lightness translates to less stuff. It is the shedding of physical weight. It is the shedding of emotional weight that helps you breathe easier, helps you
Yeah.
be lighter emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of those things. And oftentimes, when we feel like we are being held down and in a depressed mode, we don't recognize that it has a lot to do with the environment and the things that are around you physically, mentally, emotionally that need to be let go. And a lot of times, like dementia is often associated with the fact there's a connection with like hoarding and the mental challenges, and then later into dementia, because there's that connection in the weight of stuff and how it impacts us mentally. And so that is something that we have to be cognizant of. In Patreon, my Patreon group, I'll throw this out there, we're reading the Christine's book, The Afro Minimalist Guide to Living with Less, and which is such an excellent resource for our community that speaks to why it is we even gather stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a whole conversation that has a lot to do with the lie of white supremacy, but we're not going to go into that. But that lightness, the helping ourselves breathe, and it's so much of what you were just speaking about as well. Okay, so I want to kind of transition into the housing conversation so we can get to your episode a bit. So you're in Mexico, so there are two things. Talk to us about so you're also, is it HGTV? Yeah. Yeah, so you're also HGTV alum. So talk to us about what you all did and how folks can see that. Talk a bit about your episode.
So shout out to Bobby Desert. She was our realtor. She's a realtor here in SMA. She's a realtor in the States, but also here in San Miguel, the only Black realtor in San Miguel. And so shout out to her. So she was our realtor that I used for that episode. And it was fun. It was really fun. But one of the things about HGTV is so many white people on HGTV. So it was exciting because House Hunters International, it gave me life and hope before I left the States. For years, it gave me hope. And so to be able to be on the show was such a rewarding experience. And we had our crew from Mexico City, the crew from Mexico City came down and shot our episode. So it is called From Busy ATL, because we moved from Atlanta. So busy ATL to Tranquil San Miguel. Now I see all these Black lesbians moving here, but that's a sidebar. That was a real these lesbians
so far left.
Sorry, that was a fleeting thought.
Let me get you back. Come on back.
Focus, Tracie. But anyway, but it was fun. It was a hectic schedule. It was a 4-day schedule of being in the same clothes for 4 days straight. But they made it doable because our crew was amazing. We had already been in our house. The way HGTV is shot is totally not the way, obviously, because television is television. But we had already been in our home for a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So that show, that's the way that show is shot, because Tiny House Big Living that I was on, they were actually following the actual bill. So it depends on the show that the way it's shot. So I had a question, and
see, that's that thought. See, be fleeting.
It's gonna come back because I made notes. I already know my new brain. I
love that now. My new brain.
So, it was the connection to tiny houses. So, one of the things, and talk about it at a Crystal said, House Hunters is fake. There is some fakeness to House Hunters.
It is, but it was fun. It was good.
And sometimes if you pay attention, you can see, I think so your episode, it was hard to see because I even had to ask. But in the tiny house hunters, for me, it was because I knew the folks and I already knew this is their house. So then when they went to go visit, I like this, it was like, that's already y'all damn house. So I think they've gotten better with it. Your episode was done really well. So Sharon is asking, will it air on May 3rd? It's already out. Is it?
It's May. It aired March 25th, and it's called From Busy ATL to Tranquil San Miguel. I thought post production did a really good job, like editing and capturing our personalities. I thought they did I was like, I had some great one-liners.
If she does say so herself. When this goes live, I'll go back and I added Tracie's contact information. I'll go back and add a link to the episode so you all can find it. Okay, so high level, not trying to put your business out there, but I also know that you all want to develop a compound of sort. And as I hear you talk about compound of sort, I hear tiny houses. So talk a bit about what your dream is.
It was so nice hearing you and Honey have that conversation. Like, it was just an organic y'all had a conversation about an appliance that moved into something else. But it's our goal to own land, and in the compound, like, we would have our home and our children's home as well. The goal is to obviously not have a mortgage or rent, and that our children have a place to stay and live, as would we. But even on that, being able to service the community, to have some tiny homes on there, and then that's where you would come in.
I'm glad you already know that.
I mean, you think I'm gonna do it? I'm not gonna do it. I don't know, what the hell am I doing? You know, I can't put a nail in the wall.
And so one of the things, and I think I had this conversation just recently. So I think it was here. I was talking about the fact that tiny houses in other countries aren't the phenomenon that they are here in the States, because people in other countries are already living smaller and within their means, and they're used to small homes. They're used to living in container homes because they have access to container homes. So it won't be as much of a big deal, but it's something that I love. Bobby is saying, make it happen.
I love that.
I would love to, and I've started having some conversations also with Charlotte Van Horn. Maybe you and I were talking about this, Chris. Krista just made me call her name. Maybe you and I were talking about this, Tracie, in our meeting earlier, that this conversation about tiny houses in the international aspect would be something that we really need to start moving on. Right. Element saying compound living isn't unusual in Mexico. Absolutely. And the opportunity for us to create community. Obviously, you want to be within the Mexican community, but to also create ways for us to be in better community.
Because we're natural communal people. Black and brown people are natural communal people, and colonization has conditioned everybody to think that, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And there's such a loneliness epidemic in the States as a result of it, because it's not natural. That is not where we come from. That may be a y'all's thing, but that's not an us thing, or that's something that they put upon us to keep us oppressed. But communal living is a Black and brown thing. It is. And so reclaiming that, and the older I've gotten, I have such I could talk about nature all day, and it's my goal to run naked in the jungle. And I say that because I love nature, and in me loving nature, I love animals, and animals being a part. When I think of that communal compound living, I also think of animals. It's like, what animals would I want on the land for sustainability?
We're gonna have some elephants.
You know, what land do they want? I mean, what would live on the land? What animals would live on the land with us? And getting to that is because your expertise is not my expertise. I can come up with, okay, this is going to be a great opportunity, and this is how we can monetize over here, because my brain works like that. But your brain is like, okay, now how is this going to be built? What is this structure going to be? How y'all were talking about well systems. I was like, Oh, okay. Okay, that was like y'all could have been speaking in Mandarin for all I knew. But I think we each add value in being
Absolutely.
able to respect and honor what everybody can contribute.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of community. And I often talk about how um, segregation and integration. Some folks,
Child,
some folks don't want to have that conversation,
I'm
but
okay with having that conversation because I'm
but we
150% toes down.
we have that conversation a lot. Um, how we benefited, we helped each other, um, we knew what our families were doing. We were taking care of each other. We were using each other's services, supporting each other. Our dollar stayed in our community. And then integration made us feel like there was something better for us out there. And so much of our struggle has been as a result of, not saying that we have to go back to forced segregation, but I'm also not opposed to being in community and supporting each other. That's what is so needed. Um, Rosalind says running naked on the beaches on her bucket list. Get over there, Rosalind. I know some places that you can go. Um,
Child.
April, so April, I've seen a couple of comments. So April, I'm gonna entertain this comment, and then I'm gonna answer one of your questions you asked before. Um, I would say where you're saying you dated a Mexican, worked with them and lived around them, and they were very anti-black. I would say that's not the to me that's a stereotype of Mexicans. It happens absolutely, but that's not. I don't feel like that's something that we can say about all of them as a whole. Prejudice is is alive and well, just like racism is alive and not well, alive and bad, but it's there. Tracie, I would love to get your input there.
For the Mexicans in the United States, yes, that can be the case. But the Mexicans in Mexico, I can't even count how many times I've been told by Mexican people, "We love you. You guys are so beautiful. Welcome to our country." Like, and there was no transaction happening, meaning I wasn't giving them money or buying a good or a service from them. It was just because we were in proximity to one another. The Mexicans in the United States are trying to align themselves, as we already know, with whiteness.
Right.
And here in Mexico is absolutely different. And I can say that because I've been to throughout this country enough to say they understand who we are. We just don't know who we are.
Yeah. Not to say it doesn't exist. In other countries, I think what I have seen more outside of anti-blackness is more of colorism.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
that is the thing where they're stuck on light skin, dark skin. But again, that's as a whole result of colonization. Um, but it wasn't necessarily anti-blackness. One of the things that I loved about San Miguel was the fact that people there actually made eye contact and were smiling, like to
They
engage and say
do.
hello, even though they most of the time they knew we weren't getting ready to speak the same language. It was that connection and the smile, and that was big for me because
We were
it doesn't always happen as you're traveling.
we were in your store, City Market, the other night, and the restaurant, Don Felix, the wife walked in at it's one of our
Can
favorite
you go back?
restaurants here.
You said the wife of the owner of the
Oh,
restaurant.
the owner, like she's one of
Okay.
the owners of Don Felix, but she walked in City Market, and Honey saw her before we did. She speaks full Spanish to us, but we have no idea what she's saying, but it feels like we're speaking the same language. She just always embraces us and loves on us and knows who we are. Like in front of all of the Mexicans that was there, she is embracing us and holding us and loving on us and saying, "Y'all better come back. Y'all need to come back." And we know that's what because Honey was able to understand some of the stuff she said. Because it's like she knows we don't understand fully, but we understand. And it's that kind of embrace that, you know how many times I've been hugged by a Mexican person that I know here who just walking down the street, and it's that kind of love.
Yeah, good. Yeah. April, and I see your other comment about not wanting to be around them. Again, I'm gonna say that's a generalization for as a whole. That's the same as somebody saying they
Yeah.
had a bad experience with a Black person and now they don't want to be around Black people as a whole. I would offer to look for a new experience and see, but I get it. We all have to do what we feel is comfortable for us. So I'm sorry you had that experience, and I hope you have a better experience.
She in the States, come to Mexico. You will
Um,
have a better experience. I promise you.
um, and April, I saw you say that this was the first time you've been here and you're asking about tiny house communities. There are tiny house communities here in the United States. There is throughout different states. There's one in North Carolina about an hour and a half from Charlotte that is Black owned. So there are tiny house communities. We're not going to jump into those today, but stick around. I do talk about them. I offer consultation, so I'd be happy to help you navigate that. Um, um, so Tracie, absolutely always going to be outliers in everything.
Mhm.
One of the questions that I want to go back to, kind of on the professional level, the work that you do with women businesses, the work that you've done from the doula organization, and where you are now. When people see you and the work that you're doing, what do you want your work to say about you as a person? Like the first thought when people see what you're doing, what is it that you want them to get about you?
That Tracie empowers women to make money from their own intellectual property and stop giving ourselves over to entities that are not for us. Meaning they're capitalizing off of what we know and we aren't able to take full advantage of it. I think we are so brilliant, and we've given so much of ourselves over that it's time. A part of reclaiming your power is knowing that you can make your own damn money. I've made my own money for myself for decades now, and I don't know how not to. Like, I am a shitty employee. Could you imagine? Could you imagine me walking in somebody's child? I'd be like, I couldn't. But I'm grateful for being able to be at the place to where I can share what I know works and what I've learned in systems and structures to help women create the same processes for their own business and brand. Like, I'm grateful for that. And that brings me joy. Like, your win is my win. Girl, you just got a new client. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. You saying y'all want me to do this every day, right? I gotta come here every day at this time.
Right. Like, I'm supposed to do the same thing every day. That
All
never
right.
made sense to
That's
me,
all.
ever. As far back as I can remember, even as a young adult, I was like, I'm supposed to do this every day for the rest of my for I'm supposed to get up, rinse and repeat indefinitely. Oh no, this doesn't make sense.
And I think for me, that's also the draw for when I travel and I'm out of the country. And that's when you really recognize the rinse and repeat, do this every day is a US thing. It is not necessarily how it's done in other countries. Like, it is I think when I first really started traveling and being in communities outside of doing, the resort in, staying in this one area, when I really started getting into the communities, and you walk past a park and it's Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and it's a whole damn family in the park. And when I say a whole family, it's the parents, it's the children, it's the grandparents, it's the extended family, and they are in the park on Tuesday at 3 o'clock having a whole picnic. The family is eating, the kids are running around, and the park is full of folks like that. You see people laying on the ground reading a book, and it is Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and that's life.
Yeah.
And the ability to be able to do that and focus on your family. The other thing that I love, and I've always said this, like walking down the street and you see the younger generation holding out their arms, and the abuela, I think that's right. That's the grandmother,
Abuela, the
right?
grandmother. Mm-hmm.
Holding. Did y'all hear my Spanish? Okay. um, Holding on to that young person's arm, and they're in conversation and they're really listening to what she is saying. That
Mm-hmm.
just brings me joy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a video from San Miguel standing in Centro, and the clock is ringing, and the kids, it was after school, and the kids it's like dusk, and the kids are just running around playing, and it's the family, the adults are standing around in conversation, and it wasn't them, we got to rush home and we're going to soccer and we're doing this, and it was just casual, and people, kids being kids, and families enjoying each other and being in conversation and in community.
Do you know how much your nervous system appreciated that?
Yeah.
Like your nervous system was able to breathe and to slow down and to appreciate not being on the hamster wheel. Um, because every place outside the United States value third spaces. They understand the value of third spaces. You can go anywhere in Mexico at any given time of the day, and people are in the park, sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Honey and I, we went to Mexico City recently with our oldest daughter, and child, Honey took a nap on the bench. I took a nap on the bench, and it's just, you know how many times we have walked folks knocked out on a bench because, and nobody is going to bother them.
Yeah.
Nobody bothers them. They're able to take the rest that their body obviously needed, um, in an open third space, and it allows you to slow down. One of the things that I absolutely love, and it stuck with me, was when Alan said, being in San Miguel is like every day is Sunday. And because Sundays are, they tend to be slower, and there's no sense of urgency. So I love that.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, I'm gonna address this one more time because I see this conversation happening in the chat about folks who are saying they had bad experience with Mexican men. And I see somebody else who said they've never commented, but they're saying that again. One of the questions I'm gonna reiterate or is Tracie's question as to whether this was happening in the United States or is this happening in true Mexico, because that's a whole different conversation, and we touched on that briefly in that proximity to whiteness. So when folks come to the United States, they're, especially brown folks, their main goal is to make money and to prosper here. And so brown folks know to get over here and do that because they when they're in their other countries, they see the troubles that black folks have. And so they're not dumb. They know when they come over here, proximity to whiteness and aligning themselves with whiteness is what will help them make the money. And they have the complexion to they can go one way or the other. They can align themselves with the black folks because they brown, or they can try to align themselves with the white folks and take advantage of proximity to whiteness. If you've just come from another country and you've been in the struggle and you know the power dynamic over here lends itself to whiteness, then you getting ready to try to go to whiteness and you getting ready to separate yourself from blackness. We see a lot of that happening in with black folks who come from countries like come from Africa. A lot of times we have that whole dynamic challenge with Africans because of the same thing, and where they have issues because they know not to align themselves with US Blackness, because we got problems over here. The racism is for real. And so to not understand why brown folks here have a problem with Blackness is to not pay attention to the construct of the United States, and to not understand how racism sets the tone for everything within the United States. White people, brown people, Black people. I mean, that is the norm. Like I ain't really gonna go into this. Like I feel like it could be a whole conversation. We saw the whole thing with the NFL draft over this past weekend. The part for me that was disheartening was the Black folks that were saying Shador needed to be humbled and all of this type of stuff, because we often will do the work of white supremacy, the lie of white supremacy. I always say it's the lie of white supremacy, because they're not supreme to us. We will do that work ourselves. We will tell ourselves, we will tell our folks to tone themselves down so that we are not drawing attention, so that we're towing the line, because the lie of white supremacy taught us. We'll do the work ourselves. And that is what happens. That is the United States was built on racism. That is the core of the United States. So folks who come over here who are trying to excel, trying to align themselves with financial wealth, they not gravitating to us. And so somebody just said this country is operated like a plantation. And that's what I said about the NFL. It is a plantation. It is so much of the buck breaking. It is so much of, we need these Black folks to act this way. And anybody that's coming over here that wants to excel in the country, they're not aligning themselves with us. And so we have to think about that, as if your experience with a Mexican person, if it's here in the United States, that's not the same Mexican person that you might experience in the country of Mexico. And it is not fair for us to paint them, I saw Crystal say this, paint them with a broad stroke as all Mexicans are racist. That's not a fair assessment. It is in the construct of the United States that people act a certain way. So in the box of the United States is not necessarily the same person you're going to meet outside of the United States. And that all has to do with racism and the lie of white supremacy. And so we as a community have to recognize that. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. As I see that conversation happening in the chat. Thank y'all for letting me engage.
I'm sorry. Miss Mississippi was like, other groups don't humble themselves, but Black people are expected to. I don't believe in humility anymore. That is one belief I have let go. Why? Why should I dim my light to make you comfortable? Why should I minimize my accomplishments and or like suppress my personality because you're uncomfortable, because I trigger something within you? That's a you problem. That got nothing to do with me. And okay. So that humility that humility belief, because other people don't do that. And it was somebody who said something about Trump. Trump was like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, that's me over there. Good, bad, or indifferent. Like, own your shit.
Okay, this is a segue, and then we're gonna go back to what we supposed to be over here talking about. I think generationally, the conversation around humility and being humble is a generational struggle. I had this conversation with Keisha Meller the other day. For my age group, from a religious perspective, from an age perspective, working in corporate America, navigating, as somebody said, the illusion of white supremacy. We know that we've had to operate in a certain manner to be in these systems. To get the job, you got to dim your light. We know that. To keep the job, even though you know you can run circles around leadership, you got to dim your light. Folks who have the religious background where religion teaches you you shouldn't boast. There's that thin line of, am I boasting, or am I confident, or am I celebrating a win? And the longer that you're in those systems, in those places that are telling you this story, it's harder for you to disengage from that. And so a lot of conversation that I had yesterday with folks that I knew were around my age, when they were saying, well, he does need to be a little humble. What I know it is from conditioning.
Yeah.
This newer generation is, y'all gonna get what I got, and that's it. And I'm so pleased to see that. But it is an effort. It is an effort. I say it all the time. It's a damn effort for me to talk about the stuff that I do that I know is fabulous. Like if somebody else said it, I'd be like, well, damn, you. But for myself, it's a hard conversation because I was raised in that you don't brag. So am I talking about something that I good that I did, or am I bragging? Am I being confident in what I'm doing, or do I need to be humble? Like that's a 24/7 conversation that is going on in my head.
And one of the things I said to you recently was, show them who you are. Like, Angela did in a Black Panther. Show them who you are. Again, we are amazing. Why should everybody else knows that? That's why they try to take what we have.
Absolutely. And it's an effort. Like it is the conversation you got to have in therapy. It's a conversation I have with my therapist because I know there is an unlearning that I need to do. It is an unlearning, and it is a hard unlearning because I'm damn 57, getting ready to be 58 years old. I'm always proud of how old I am. Tracie ain't doing none of that. But it is something that I have been conditioned for the larger part of my life to operate in this manner. So it is an unlearning. It's a constant unlearning. But the first step before I can even unlearn it is to recognize it.
Yeah.
And that's where people struggle.
Yeah. I even tell my children, you are welcome. I was your first home. You welcome. Remind folks who you are.
Yeah. I'm gonna wrap this up because I know you keep your conversations to an hour. We usually
I don't. I'm having a good time. Honey made breakfast that smell good for her because I know she just made it for her. Because
usually I'm chatting with Tracie, so we in her group, which I'm gonna let her talk about in just a few minutes. I'm in her business group, and we also have a friend chat because I keep reminding y'all we need to be in community, and sometimes community looks like scheduling a weekly. When somebody's not around, scheduling a weekly video chat so you can catch up. And so most of the time when I'm talking to Tracie, Honey will bring in a little colorful plate with all the things, and somehow the plate always end up with a little turn to the camera, and I see it. I ain't gonna say it's intentional or nothing, but I see the little plate of all colorful, good looking stuff, and I just be saying, and I've said some.
Don't worry, you're gonna be here down the street, right next door.
Living right next door to y'all. Have a place right next door to y'all, and somehow I'm gonna show up every time it's time to eat. But
you just gonna smell it. I'm here with my plate.
Exactly. If so, kind of that this is a question that just came up based on what we were just talking about, and then we're gonna get back to what we was talking about. If you could let go of one system or belief or burden that is weighing on your...
Go ahead. I'm waiting for the question because I already had the answer. Go ahead. I'm waiting for the full question.
that you feel like is weighing health-wise, physically, mentally. If you could let go of one system, what and as an encouragement to other folks, what would that system be?
I don't know if y'all want that answer.
Do you need to put it in a private chat? And then what is the answer, Tracie?
Christianity.
Some of y'all ain't ready. Some of them are. We talk about the challenges of organized
I
religion.
mean, I let it go. I just wish that for us, when we talk about freedom, when we talk about like the ultimate freedom, because it was sold to us by those who don't embody it. And it was a fallacy, again, to keep us suppressed by design. And it is still working. And I want that for us. I want that conditioning and that sense of, and I'm not saying not God. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm not taking.
And so I want that system removed from us. Yeah.
Evelyn is in my Patreon group, and so she when we meet, sometimes she has to dip out so she can go to church. And last week we were meeting, and Evelyn dipped out, and then she was right back. So she was saying something about y'all. She seems like sometimes she's the antagonist at church, and then she dipped out last week, and she came right back, and I was like, "Ooh, you must have got kicked out." So that's what she's.
Yeah, I
like,
want
about 10-15 minutes. So we giggled. Oh, you got kicked out. You must have went over there and raised a ruckus and left. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
you asked.
I did ask. I wanted to know, and I am not bothered by that at all. We've had that conversation. We had that conversation over here on my channel. So and I've shared my own personal struggle in the reinventing of yourself. One of the things that I absolutely said. Sometimes it is the letting go of beliefs that you've had and grown up with, and that don't necessarily work for you. And that is a struggle for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So you're an author. I know that you're an author. One of my questions I always ask is, what would the title of your autobiography be?
It's right there. Special delivery.
Can you could show us?
Mhm.
Thank you. I gave you that one, Tracie. I just
You
walked you.
did. You
Okay.
did. Oh my
Okay.
bad. I'm like, again, this is but it's special delivery. Um and it goes through like my life's journey and my life's journey and the to me from being it's written for the little girl in us. Like if
Okay.
you were to have a conversation with your younger self, what was that? And to be inspiring to her, even though you may have challenges or setbacks along the way, like it's gonna be okay, and how you can still impact a generation of people just by your mere existence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, Kim be over on my channel lately. Thank you, Kim, for being there. All right, she came recently. Oh, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna step back to this question really quickly. So Elaine is asking, are we throwing the whole Christianity out? She's asking you. I'm gonna just say two things, and I'm gonna let you. For in my opinion, it is throwing the lie of white supremacy out of Christianity, because it is so intertwined into what Christianity is in so many ways. It is something, in my opinion, that was introduced, as you were just saying, introduced to keep the enslaved waiting for the day when God was going to come, instead of knocking folks over the head right at that moment. And so um that is my thought of it. There's the spirituality, God, all that's so important. Like, you can't exist without that. But there is the undercurrent of the white supremacy that where everything else outside of Christianity, all of the beliefs that as a people, an African people, that all of those beliefs are demonic. Like everything outside of this that is wrapped up into white supremacy is wrong. That's the part that, in my opinion, even though you didn't ask me, Elaine.
And
Go.
same thing, Lakeisha made a comment like, my mom too. My mom too. But like, who were we before Christianity?
Yeah, my
Like
family.
who were we? And that's a part of the deconstruction and the level of education. When you go down the rabbit hole, hey Michelle, when you go down the rabbit hole, you can't unknow what you start to uncover. And when I tell you the Vatican has miles and miles and miles of history books, our history in there sealed from us. When we talk about like Christianity and mind you, I'm not saying God, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's not what we're
I'm,
saying.
I'm talking about the system and the structure of Christianity, which was sold to us to keep us oppressed. And the conditioning, to me, it's still like the Willie Lynch syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself now when I get in community with Black women who are having those kind of conversations, advocating for Christianity, I have to be quiet because they're not ready. They're not ready. They're just not ready. And I can't, mind you, I said I don't earlier, I don't waste words. So I'm not getting ready to have a conversation with somebody who is already closed off because the conditioning is so deep. And I understand why. I understand why. But when we start to unravel and unpack who we were pre Christianity, and I told my girls yesterday, I said, it wasn't until the Haitian Revolution, when Haiti defeated the French in 1804, that anything ATR, which is, and I know this is not our conversation, but anything African traditional religion became demonized. But now we are talking about all of these white people and all of these pastors who, guess who they're going to? They're going to the spiritualists to make sure that you guys show up. They are putting rituals and systems in place behind closed doors to make sure that y'all show up and continue to pay them. So it's the confines and the structure of the institution that lead to the conditioning. But when you start to unpack the systems that are in place, and when you start to get into our history, like, you got to be ready for what you're getting ready to uncover. Because when I promise you, you will never be the same. I promise you, when I started working, I tell people all the time, midwifery changed my life. I started studying midwifery when I was 24, after I had my son. And being a midwife changed my life. And it showed me who I was. And I can't undo that. And I'm so grateful for that journey because I'm able to own who I am, as a part of it and the belief. I'm not saying it's easy, but I have a different conversation with God than because of it.
Yeah.
Aw, thank y'all.
Um,
This comment section is lit, child.
this is my community, and then the folks who have joined today, that came over from your community. This is the way I have to try to keep reading because everybody's saying something that needs to be shared. The they always say it's true because I always say I've considered moving it from Sundays at noon because it's like sometimes I was like, well, I could go to brunch, and then there's like, no, we can't because this is our church conversation, so it's our community gathering. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some kind of summarize some of the things that we've talked about. So we've talked about healing as being a layered journey, physical, emotional, spiritual. We've talked about Black women's health as not being just about survival, but about as about us thriving.
Mhm.
We've talked about downsizing and decluttering, not being associated with loss, but opening for new.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we've talked about how the fact that true liberation is intentional
Yeah.
and it is available to all of us. You got to do
Mhm.
the work.
Yeah.
Um,
But when you start to do the work, just give yourself grace, because there's no time limit to your elevation. So give yourself grace in the process. Be gentle and kind with yourself. Oftentimes, when women have, especially Black women, have a hard time being gracious to each other is because they're not gracious to their self first.
mhm,
So, in your level of unpacking and you're moving into intentional living, it took you a while to get to where you were. So, it's going to take you, in order to get to the next level of you can't bring those same habits. So there's an unlearning that needs to take place. So give yourself time. And you can't heal the body without healing the spirit. Those are interconnected to one another.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Tracie. What's one question I didn't ask, but you wish I had?
You don't, nothing that I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tracie didn't know I was preparing for this
I
conversation.
didn't. I thought we was just gonna have a conversation.
I did my work. She is impressed with me. I did my work. Okay, Tracie, talk about where people can find you. Talk about your, are you calling a master class? Talk about the stuff that you have upcoming that people. We just saw Kim who says she's doing. Talk about the stuff that you do and how people can support you.
So I do have a YouTube channel. I have a love-hate relationship with YouTube, so just bear with me during that. I think YouTube is like every other social media platform. So, but you can find me on YouTube, and all of my social media handles except for TikTok are Tracie Collins. TikTok is Black Girl CEO in Mexico, and I just talk about my life here in Mexico primarily on my TikTok channel. But my passion, my love outside of my family, is helping women in their business. And so you can't, I am Googleable, and I am so proud to say that.
Google, Google me.
And Google
Google,
me. I need a T-shirt that says Google, because it's hard for
exactly.
me to talk about myself. But I'm also proud of the work that I've done, and I help women in business leadership to build scalable, sellable businesses. I think we focus too much on the scalable part, the scalability, but we don't focus on the exit strategy. I'm an exit queen. It just so happened that's how my life has unfolded. I have exited a business, I have exited a country, and I've exited relationships that haven't served me. So I embed exit strategy within my teaching structure and in my leader framework. So I work with women in leadership, and my word leader is really about how us as women can help not only lead ourselves, but lead other women and be impactful. Yeah. Oh,
Um,
thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
I have added all of so I do the work. Y'all just don't be paying attention. In the description when this goes live for folks who are going to be watching in the future and for folks who are asking about websites. I did include all of that information in the video description. The only thing that I haven't included is her TikTok channel and HGTV, the link to their episode. So I will do both of those once we are done here. But I did add that information. I've been trying to do my work, y'all.
I'm proud of you.
Thank
I'm
you.
really proud of you. I forgot to talk about what Lakeisha meant. I mean, it was a Lakeisha. No, it was. I forgot. She just talked about the special that I have going on. It is the Leader Launchpad. Yes, it
Oh,
is a
was
self-paced.
Kim?
It's
Was
it's
with
a
Kim?
Okay, so it's a self-paced business course. to where it's 13 modules. I thought it was 15, but it's 13 modules that support business development, structure, and branding, and launching your business. And it's at your own pace. Right now it's $37. Tomorrow the price changes. It goes back to its new and forever price, which is going to be $147. But right now it is on special limited offer for $37. You not only get access to all of that, but then you come into the leader student community. And the leader student community is everybody who has either taken my masterclass in some sort of training with me. It is a free student community that you will gain access to, and you got to complete the modules in order to get to that access, because I have it at the end. And then it's a certificate that you will receive once you've completed the leadership launchpad. But it is designed for business development and for strategy and development. And you get access to me, and you get to be in community with other future leaders, and access to all the educational tools that I will continue to pour in there. And it is forever, the leader student community is forever free for anybody who has taken any kind of education from me.
So I will share that I am part of her community. She's helping me grow my business. And so that's why I'm cheesing, because I get to take advantage of all these things. I'll add that link as well. Sharon, you're very welcome. I'll add the link. So Tracie, when we get off, add the link, that link as well. So I'll add it to the video description.
Yeah, I appreciate your community. I love them. I'll be in the chat, some Sundays, come in and say hi. So it's nice to be on this side too. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, good people. I got a couple of other guests lined up. I want y'all to be impressed. I'm doing a little bit of work over here, trying to get life together, all the things. My house is close. I also know that I'm supposed to be giving you all a tour, which I'm working on, because I'm almost finished. The mulch for the outside arrives tomorrow, and that's like on the bottom of the list. If I get to mulch, Jewel is done, and so it arrives tomorrow, and I just have to put it out. So I'm close. I am close. Folks in the future, thank y'all for being here. Nichelle, glad you got here. Thank you for being here. I thank y'all for joining me on Sundays. I appreciate y'all. And Tracie, I appreciate you for showing up on my Sunday conversation. Please tell. So my group also knows that I love City Market. The only person they ever know that fell in love with a grocery store. So please tell City Market I said hello.
I will definitely do that.
Now, other thing, so me finishing up my stuff on my house also means that I can get free to travel a bit. So I'm looking forward to that as well, because then I can see you again soon.
Yes, empower your change. Thank you.
In San Miguel. All right, good people. Thank you for joining. Thank y'all for spending Sunday time with us. I hope everybody has a great week. Y'all be safe. Y'all be in community, because y'all know that is what I keep telling you. We have to be in community. The world is showing us we need each other. We need to be in community. Absolutely. A whole lot of City Market. So y'all take care of yourselves this week, and we will talk again soon. Happy Sunday, y'all.